According to a recent Gallup survey of 100 million Americans with full-time jobs, 7 out of 10 workers have either checked out or what they call actively disengaged at work. Here's actually how the numbers are breaking down. 30% of workers are engaged, involved, and enthusiastic about their workplace. 52% are not engaged, meaning they're going through the motions. 18% are labeled as actively disengaged, meaning they hate going to work. So we're asking this morning, who is more responsible for work engagement and satisfaction, the employee or the employer? We've got a great panel to talk to us today. Tricia Owens joining us from Majic 100 as well from Carson and Company Cubs here. Melanie Adams is here from 93.9. Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Okay, we're lucky. I think we are, we've got one-of-a-kind jobs, right?
Yes.
It's a very interesting survey done. That's 100 million Americans. That's a lot of people to be able to survey. What are your thoughts on seeing these kind of results coming through?
Okay, so well, here's the thing. I think part of the problem might be the fact that we're all constantly hooked up to our smartphones, right? So you can't ever really fully unplug. So I think that there's probably a big burnout rate happening because you feel like you constantly have to be on the clock. And so I think it is absolutely up to employers to try to figure out incentives to keep people engaged and interested, happy, right? I mean, whose responsibility?
I think having a job should be
well, no, whose responsibility is it to boost morale, right? I mean,
but it's different, would you say, if it's someone who's literally inputting numbers and sitting at a computer all day, literally going from file to file, maybe inputting numbers, and where, that after a couple of years.
Yes.
Some jobs suck, and some jobs are boring, and there is nothing you can do to fix that. So you either have to say, okay, I'm going to suck it up for 8 hours a day, I'm doing my crappy, boring job, and I'm going to do it well, or you go and find a job that you like better.
Right.
But if you're just going to sit there and hate your job and actively not try, then let someone else have the job.
I think that comes down to you yourself and your own work habits, right? So if you're used to kind of just getting by and half-assing it all the time, wherever it is that you've worked before, and then you've been put in a situation where that's not acceptable, I think a lot of it has to do with management as well, too. I think what happens is maybe management hasn't done a good enough job of laying out the expectations for it, and not being a taskmaster, because I think if someone is constantly nailing you on that, you're going to check out. But if it's done in a way where you're adding to something, or you're saying, okay, listen, I know this is mundane, I know you're inputting the same stuff, but you'll have 15 minutes if you smoke, go out for a smoke, 15 minutes if you want to check your Facebook, just to kind of get out of that enter kind of mentality.
I mean, no matter how boring the job is, I think if you're in a really good work environment, right? I mean, you hear so much about Facebook and Google and all these places that offer all these extra incentives for employees to kind of keep them dedicated. Then I think you might be like, okay, I'm just inputting numbers, but at least I've got this,
To be able to do it. What if you're in an office that management is not doing any of the above, and you've got 100 people in small cubicles doing exactly the same thing as inputting numbers? I mean, you are literally creating an environment that's almost impossible to be able to get out of.
Sometimes there are going to be no-win situations where, and I know a lot of people that have to do it, you have to go to a job that you don't love, but that pays the bills.
That's right.
And you kind of don't love your life for 8 hours a day so that you can love it for the rest of the time.
And how much of it is it a job that you're doing that, like in radio sometimes, or in television, it blurs that line where, you are Leanne on TV, but you have a hard time being Leanne off TV. Because I know with me, it's tough doing the radio thing all the time, and then all the stuff you do on top of the radio show. And then afterwards, I like having time just to kind of check out, really, what it comes down to. I don't know if I do it on the job, because, I mean, everything's so quick, and you've got to be on top of things, and Facebook is such a huge part, and Twitter, of what we do in the media, that I think it's kind of like our idea of checking out might be a little different from someone else's idea.
And I think we're in jobs where we don't really ever check out, especially too with all the social media. It's different, though, because we did 100 million Americans, and yet if you look here on the Canadian side, north of the border, we're finding a couple of different stats here. 1 in 3 unhappy with their career progress, which is a very drastic, almost a switchover from what we're seeing in the States. 44% not satisfied or indifferent with level of recognition. 70% not told why they did not receive a promotion. So a lot of people too here are saying, listen, I'm okay, but I'd like to be able to do all of those things and get out of the group and get to a different job. But a lot of the times we're being held back and not getting explanations as to why or how they can move forward.
More communication.
Yeah, I think that's what it really comes down to. Because
Yeah.
some of the high tech companies in Ottawa, in particular, years ago when the high tech boom was so huge, they knew how to take care of their employees because they didn't want good employees to go somewhere else. So they'd offer games rooms. There was a nap room at one place that I knew about. There was like they put in a Starbucks in there. They'd have foosball tables. You'd be able to tap a keg at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At the end of your day, you have a drink kind of thing. So certain businesses, they know what they're doing. I think it's the long-standing businesses, maybe working in the government, maybe that kind of scenario where it can be a little more political in the terms of what you're dealing with your own people and your own floor and your own department kind of thing. That can tend to kind of grind on you and take a lot out, even though you're getting well compensated for it. But at the same time, too, does the money pay for the sense of being and who you are as a person?
I feel for the people who feel that they aren't being well compensated for, that they are sitting in that situation, and that for some of them there's just no end in sight. So I think I like the employer's responsibility too on just kind of getting things moving and trying to be able to circulate things. You guys had some great opinions. Thank you so much. Another fun and interesting topic for our top talkers.